You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, Disney. Welcome in to JW World News Sunday edition. Well, my name's Rick Farron. I'm coming to you from right up here, the hub of the universe. And as a matter of fact, it really is the hub of the universe. Check it out on Google, Boston, Massachusetts. Well, it's cold out, not as bad as it has been. It's probably about 36, 37 degrees, sunny. Beautiful snow on the ground. Looks really nice. I hope it's nice where you are. Well, what we do here on Sundays is every other Sunday, we open up the lines and we have programs here that get into theology. We will not have, Jay Hess will not be on with us today. He's not feeling that well, so we will not have the Christian Court after this program, and we will not have Jay Hess answering Bible questions today, but he'll be back in 2 weeks. But it's really amazing to me to really see the amount of people that are leaving the Watchtower. And, I'm not looking through rose-colored glasses here. I'm not trying to embellish or make things up. Right now, they're leaving like never before. Maybe, well, you say, well, Rick, wait a minute. Back when Rutherford took over, the witnesses lost 250,000 people. In the year 1975, when it didn't come, the witnesses lost 250,000 people. So you're probably saying, Rick, are you telling me now the witnesses are losing 250,000 people? I'll say that. I'll say it because they're not mentally in. They're not mentally in. I'm sorry. They're they're not mentally in. They're mentally out. They're mentally out. Physically in. Many Jehovah's Witnesses right now, they go to the Kingdom Hall. You see people sitting there, but they don't believe it. They really don't believe it. Many of them, half of them, upwards of 4 million Jehovah's Witnesses do not believe that this is the truth. And what a refreshing feeling that is to see all of these people on the sidelines. And it's not just one or two people in a family. Whole families are getting up and leaving. Elders are leaving. And, this is something really for us to be quite happy about. As a matter of fact, my wife today, Susan, she says to me, Rick, what are we going to do on New Year's Eve? I says, I think I'm going to be dancing in the driveway tonight. Yeah, because I'm a happy man to see all these people leaving the Watchtower. I hope you're happy. I mean, I'm not trying to wish anybody harm here, but I'm just saying it's good to see people getting away from one of the biggest scams, one of the biggest fraudulent, deceitful operations ever brought about in religion. And of course, that's the Jehovah's Witnesses. And when I hear some of the stuff going on today and some of them, and I want to thank everyone for writing me. I'm getting so much information that's coming in here to the Six Screens, and we get so much news all day long, all night long, 7 days a week, holidays, it doesn't matter. I get the news. People send it to me, and I thank you for doing that. I get all these friends on Facebook and YouTube, and I get all this information that I can share with you. And, some of these people, they're PMOs, and they write me and tell me what's going on in the Kingdom Hall. But I got something. I'm gonna read it in just a little bit here that I got today. And boy, I'll tell you what, I am just a happy camper today. I feel like dancing right here in my studio because this is what I'm going to share with you is what I have been waiting for 20 years to hear. I heard it today. So we'll get into that in just a little bit because I want to get a big audience in here because it's really worth hearing. So, but in the meantime, I just want to talk about something I talked about last night. And I got thinking, we all been watching the news, Fox News, CBS, NBC, CNN, whatever you're watching. And in the last week, all we heard on the news, well, it wasn't all we heard, but a good part of what we heard was Jeffrey Epstein, the pervert, the man that is accused of sex crimes. And so many people have been hurt by what he's done. So he's not alive today, but they went back, that is the government, and they dug up all of the information they had on Jeffrey Epstein and files. I'm talking about, I think it was 1 million pages of files on Jeffrey Epstein and how what he was doing and the people that were associated with him and the things they were doing to young girls. It was just disgusting. And I'm thinking all this press, all of the news coverage, and then all of a sudden it pops in my mind. Well, wait a minute. What about the Watchtower? That they're even worse than Jeffrey Epstein. Really, the crimes the Watchtower is committing by covering up child sex abuse, and nothing's really. I mean, we see it in the news, but not on national news. You might see it on some oddball station somewhere in Podunk, Iowa, or something. But we don't see it on Fox News. We don't see it on the big networks that where every once in a while it'll pop up like on NBC years ago, but we don't see it. All of these people that have been suing the Watchtower, all of these governmental inquiries into the abuse taking place in the Watchtower Society, and we don't hear a thing. It's like crickets, right? At the same time, Epstein, geez, that's all they've been talking about. So it really kind of got me thinking that it's not good. The only thing I can think of is the Watchtower. Do they have friends in high places? Are they putting a kibosh to these stories? What is going on here? You would think that it would be Jehovah's Witnesses would be in the news every day, but they're not. And we get it, we share it. All of these people on YouTube, all these people doing YouTube videos, we talk about it. But is the public really hearing it from the national networks? No. And I'll tell you something. Even you remember the Catholic problem they had a few years ago. It started right up here in Boston. Remember Cardinal Law, on how they had all of these priests that were abusing young people, mostly boys, in the Catholic Church. And they kept that secret for years. They swept it under the rug. But it was about 20 years ago. I forget when it was, probably around the year 2000, 2001, that all of a sudden the Boston Globe, yeah, it's a pretty big newspaper up here. So they reported on the problems in the Catholic Church. And boy, it got attention. It got national attention. And all of a sudden everybody started thinking, wow, I never knew this. The Catholic Church was doing this to people, to young kids. Yep. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what, there was priests up here in Boston, and they would walk around without their collar on. They would not put their collar on. They would just dress like a regular person. They didn't want anyone to know they were a priest because, they got ridiculed. They got mocked as they would walk down the street. So Jehovah's Witnesses here seem to be escaping the hatchet. They're committing all these crimes, sexual crimes. They're paying people off left and right, and yet we get nothing. We get crickets. Well, maybe it'll change. I know there's a big lawsuit going on right now in New York. There's a woman that was sexually harmed when she was a younger girl in the Watchtower. And now we have a lawsuit, or there's a lawsuit out against Watchtower, including the governing body, for $100 million. But, don't get too excited. The kibosh could come to this one too. A lot of these big lawsuits, remember now, the Watchtower has lawyers like you wouldn't believe. Not only do they have their own internal lawyers, I think there's 8 of them that are internal, but they hire external, that they go to the world to get lawyers to represent them in court cases. So when you get in the ring with the Watchtower, even according to what I've been reading here online concerning this $100 million lawsuit, it looks like the Watchtower is doing everything in their toolbox to throw this out. One of the claims the Watchtower is making is that it's past the statute of limitations. It's too old. We're not going to get into that. Toss it out. So they're looking for the judge to dismiss it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, but they're going to work hard to get this case dismissed. And with the amount of lawyers they have, friends, don't be too shocked or too upset if all of a sudden they uh, they lose this case. We hope they can. We hope that the plaintiff can win the case. And $100 million is really, that's not chump change. That could really hurt the Watchtower. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. And I really feel that the Watchtower, they've got to know people in higher places. We've always talked about the Watchtower here for 20 years. I believe they're way more corrupt than we even think. We really do. We all had attachment to it one time. We thought it was a truth and God's channel on earth. But now we're realizing how corrupt it is, and it's like an iceberg. We're only seeing the tip of it. And really, when I stop and think about it, somebody in a high place has got to come forward here and work to expose these bums because they're getting away basically with murder. So, what I wanted to talk about is something that I said today really got me thinking. I want to share this with you because I have been waiting for 20 years to hear this news. And when I heard this today, and I want to thank the people that share this information with me, but I want to say this right off the bat. There's been many things I've been looking for as I've been exposing the Watchtower now for 20 years, as I say. Certain things I'm looking for. Well, one thing I was looking for to really see the Watchtower could go down really fast is dissension. Now, what do I mean by dissension? Dissension of who? Well, I was thinking, whenever there's some tribulation or turbulence, difficulties in any organization, whether it's in a business organization or whether it's even in some type of a secular civic organization, whenever there's some turbulence, the powers to be, the people who sit on the governing board, governing body, they at times will disagree with each other. So I've been waiting for 20 years to really hear the disagreement that, governing body members would begin to disagree. I don't agree with you, Brother Jackson. That's wrong. I don't agree with you, Brother Morris. Well, maybe they did with him. He's out of there, right? But I was always waiting for this disagreement of the governing body. Well, I didn't quite hear that today. I was hoping it could escalate to that. But I'll go to the second thing I was always thinking about: dissension, divisions in the congregation. Oh, it's starting. I got information come to me today that really tickled my ears. And it actually happened just this morning in a Watchtower study. Oh, my goodness. Just this morning. So, anyways, there was a comment made at the meeting this one particular brother was going to, and he couldn't believe what he heard. And when I heard what he heard, I couldn't believe it either. So all of a sudden, we're starting to see some backbiting, some backfiring, even in the organization, in the congregations. This is what they call divisions. This can destroy an organization. So anyway, what happened this morning at the Watchtower study is during the course of the study, all of a sudden, a brother who was an elder spoke up and he made a comment. And this is what he said, and the whole congregation heard it. He said, I suffer injustice from the fellow elders in this kingdom hall, and I am confident that I was right and that they make wrong decisions against me. Now, what would you do if you were sitting in the kingdom hall and you heard that? Oh my goodness. Geez, you'd open the other ears. I mean, you put your hands over your ears to make it like a cup so that you can hear it even better. And then not only did that elder chastise the other elders in this Kingdom Hall congregation for making a wrong decision about him, but lo and behold, his wife spoke up. Oh, the elder's wife spoke up. And she also commented. She says, I don't trust those people in the congregation who spoke negatively against us, and I only trust God, not them. Well, what would you do? What would you do if you heard something like that? I mean, would you think the congregation is falling apart? Well, I'm going to tell you, I think it is. That would never happen. But that happened. That show, I mean, okay, so you say, Rick, that's only one case. Well, I'm starting to get some thoughts coming in here, different people writing me things. Now, not quite that drastic, but people being spied on in the congregations. That the governing body, the elders, are aware that there are people in the Kingdom Hall congregations that are not loyal Jehovah's Witnesses. So, consequently, the directives that have been issued to the elders to be at least suggested to the congregants, the publishers, to be on guard against these people who are disloyal. Now, how do you tell if a person is disloyal? Well, this comment here this morning that came into my 6 screens here, that's disloyal. I mean, these people, I'll tell you what, they're gonna be on the chopping block. That elder, he's gonna be chastised for that. I'm sure after the meeting, he was lugged right into the back room. So, I look at I don't wanna get overly encouraged here, but I must say, I like this. That this is music to my ears. This is going to happen more. This is going to happen more. And I encourage anybody out there listening to 6 Screens today, if it happens in your congregation, please write me and tell me that you're starting to see divisions. You're starting to see divisions. You're starting to see people speak up and speak the truth. So write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com, and I'd love to be able to kind of follow up with this because I think, there's certain things, if there's going to be an earthquake, for example, geologists, they got all this equipment, they got ways of instruments of telling an earthquake's coming. Weathermen have satellites and what have you as well. But we need little bits of information like this to kind of project what's going to happen, just like a weather forecaster. This is a sign. This is a sign of the watchtower starting to crumble. It's one of the stages of collapse. And we've talked about this many times from the 6 Screens about the 5 stages of business collapse. And this is 4: dissension, division among people, among the organization. So this is a stage of collapse. We're really seeing it. We're coming close to seeing the demise of the watchtower. So I give that brother credit. He says, look it, I am suffering injustice from my fellow elders, and I am confident that I was right and they made the wrong decision against me. Well, y'all listening into the 6 Screens today, and I'm sure there's elders listening in, there's ministerial servants listening in. Well, let me say this to you. Did you ever feel like you were shown injustice in the Kingdom Hall? Well, of course you were. I know there's a man listening to this program right now that was shown total injustice. He went to them and told them he committed a sin, and that was it. They gave this poor man no room to even move around. They basically instantly disfellowshipped him, sat him at the back of the Kingdom Hall. His family wouldn't even speak with him. So injustice has always prevailed. But that man would have been he would have refrained from going to the elders and telling them that you guys gave me a wrong decision here. This is injustice. You wouldn't do that because you know that you would never become a Jehovah's Witness again. So consequently, by someone even standing up and saying there's injustice here, that is a big issue. I mean, this is something. If I was a governing body member, these are things I'd be looking for. I really would. I wouldn't be really too concerned about, a man saying, "Well, I don't know how long to wear my beard," or I wouldn't be too concerned about a sister saying, "Well, how tight can I wear my slacks?" that wouldn't bother me. But if I was a governing body member and I heard that some elder says it was injustice and the whole congregation heard it, that would get my attention. I think it would get your attention too. So what do you think? What do you guys think? Speak up. Go ahead. You're on 6 screens.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, Rick.
Yes.
Hi, Rick. Yes, I was going to say, what's interesting, this is very interesting what you're sharing today. The average rank and file JW, we were always taught, it has God's Holy Spirit. The organization starts from the governing body members all the way down to the circuit overseer, the elders. And what's interesting is, we believe that, right? We thought it was God's true organization directed by his Holy Spirit. And then when I left the organization and I found, one thing that woke me up was the shakeup in Bethel in 80-81 with Ray Franz. I thought, wow, there's got to be something really huge coming down for a governing body member and what's going on in Bethel, with this dissension and division. So, because that doesn't happen every day. So anyway, when I was able to get my hands on the book Crisis of Conscience by Raymond Franz, it gave me and everyone else a really insight of what goes on in the organization. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about when Ray Franz would talk about there was a crisis of personal conscience that he had between what the Bible taught and what Watchtower taught with their policies. And specifically what I'm referring to is when they would have their board meetings. And, we all thought, they're all loving brothers. They all get along so well. There's just so much love and agreement and harmony. Well, when you read the book, you found out, no, that's not the case. And that's not the case many times. And you think, why in the world would that be the case if this has God's Holy Spirit and it's Jehovah's true organization? Well, they're men. They're just absolute men, imperfect men. And, it's just that facade that Watchtower wants everyone to believe that everybody's in harmony and there's no disagreement. And when you bring this up today, Rick, I'm sure there's people that are thinking, oh my gosh, how can that be? Well, because it's not based on God's Holy Spirit. And obviously this elder, had it. He was done. We've had Joe, our friend Joe, come to our home and talk, and everybody loves Joe. He tells it like it is. And he says, let me tell you something. As an elder, not all the elders get along well. He says, this is what Joe said. I have seen elders are saying the F word to each other, and they're cussing each other out, and they're even, getting ready to get into fistfights with each other. So, Rick, I think people get to a point where, first of all, they're in shock, but if they're not in shock, they realize, hey, it's like the kettle. The kettle's cooking and it gets to a point where it gets to a boiling point and people just say, that's enough. And, Rick, people can only handle so much. People can only tolerate so much. I mean, you're talking about a body of elders. Some of them, Joe said that there's some congregations, they're all family members that are elders. Nepotism is called. And, they're all in their little clique because they're all family members. Or maybe it's not necessarily nepotism. They're just clicky click, even as elders. And if you don't fit in with that, you're an outcast. And it sounds like that's what's happening with this brother. And of course, his wife's going to defend him because, she sees it for what it is too. So I think you're right, Rick. I think more of this is going to come out, and Watchtower, how many fires can they put out when this is all over? And this happens worldwide. Watchtower's in trouble. You got 4 alarm fires going off all over the place. And I'm glad to see people are seeing what's going on in the congregations. Thank you, Rick.
Oh, good comment, Constance. And the thing is too, you got to stop and think, what would cause divisions in the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom halls today? What would cause divisions? Well, sometimes it could be a simple little thing. Yeah, it could be a simple little thing. Well, let's just go with, let's just start here. Okay, let's just start with beards. It's simple, right? It's no big deal. All right, so the men can now have beards. Well, maybe there's some people in the congregation that don't feel that was appropriate for the Jehovah's Witness organization, Watchtower, to say, well, we can now have beards where one time we couldn't. That's a little thing, but that can start a big fire. Start a very big fire. Or maybe I'm thinking about, I mentioned it just on Anne Marie's show about the tribulation. We were told that, when the tribulation started, that's it. You're not going to come into Jehovah's organization. So you had to really get yourself moving to get grounded and get baptized before the tribulation hit. Now they're saying, no, you can come in even during the Great Tribulation. So you get all these little changes in policy that the Watchtower has made in the last 24 months that can cause divisions. And I've even been bringing that up on our Saturday night programs on 6 screens, that in many congregations, the old timers, now I say old timers, I say people that have been in for 40, 50 years, they were ingrained to do certain things. And now all of a sudden that's all changed for them. So they're saying, boy, they always had to wear a suit and a tie and look neat and presentable. And now people are wearing sneakers and shorts and everything else, even out in service. And they're saying that's not the way it should be. So a lot of the old timers aren't agreeing with the young ones, and that's causing divisions. But there could be
Right. It's going to be division in not only what they're wearing, but what are they teaching? Right.
Well, thank you, Pig.
Rick, I wanted to
Yeah.
say-
Yeah, go ahead.
Rick, I just wanted to say in reference to that, it's something even more seriously. What about education, like what Scott and Jody were talking about today? Remember a few years back, there was a husband and wife and their 2 children, and they had a dog. And I believe they were in Michigan, something harbor, Key Harbor, something like that in Michigan. And anyway, they really believed in education. If I'm not mistaken, I thought he was employed in one of the universities back there. Anyway, so they wanted their children to be able to go to college, and their kids were of college age. And so they, tried to fade away, I guess, the best they could, the best they could. And anyway, their kids were going to college, and this husband and wife got so much flack from the body of elders. They were so guilt tripped over this. Oh, you're spiritually weak. What are you doing having your children, pursue worldly endeavors instead of seeking God's kingdom? Matthew 6:33 first. And anyway, what ended up happening is, the wife, I guess I would call it a nervous breakdown. She just couldn't handle it. And what she did is she ended up killing each of her children. She killed her husband, she killed the dog, and then she committed suicide. And there was one sister that was a friend of, say, the mother, the lady of the house. Man, she went to that Kingdom Hall. She stood up on the chair and she said to all the body of elders and to everybody, I guess it was like a Sunday meeting, you have, basically, these are my words, you have so much blood guilt because of what you said to brother and sister so-and-so about not having a college education. Shame on you. Shame on you. And the brothers were trying to shut her down. She says, you get your hands off me. She says, I'm going to speak the truth about what's going on here. And that's why they're all dead, is because of you. So, and she says, don't you put your hands on me. People in the congregation need to know what's going on. And Rick, people have had it. And I think it's just going to get worse. You can only, have that kettle on steam for a while, and after a while it just blows up. Now, I'm not encouraging any kind of violence like you're not either, or anyone else here, Rick. But, people can only take so much garbage and so much stress. Watchtower needs to stay out of their lives, especially when it comes to their children, when it comes to their marriage, when it comes to their education, when it comes to the bedroom laws. Stay out of all of that. It's none of their darn business. And I think people have had it, Rick. I really think they have.
Well,
Thank you.
well, they have. It's I like your illustration, the boiling pot. Everything starts with a little problem. It really, there's been marriages ruined because you didn't put the toilet seat down. You don't put your toothbrush back in the holder. that there has been marriages ruined because of, but it starts that way. It starts with something little and then it escalates into something huge. And the Watchtower's got a real problem on their hands right now. And the only thing I can think of is, how do you put a fire like this out? It's like some of those fires burning out there in California. They're all over the place. How do you put a fire like this out? So this is now going to escalate into a major problem for the Watchtower. And I'm glad, Connie, you brought up the Raymond Franz situation, because back in the 80s, the early 80s, when Franz was disgusted being a governing body member and left, that could have come very close. That could have come very, very close to destroying the Watchtower. But my way of thinking on the reason why it wasn't totally destroyed back then is because it was hushed up. There was a Time magazine article back, I believe it was in 81, and it talked about Raymond Franz, governing body member of the Watchtower, descending and how he wasn't going to be on the governing body anymore. And the Watchtower gave Raymond Franz, they gave him $10,000. Now, that it's not a lot today. I mean, it was a lot back then. But even back then, you couldn't really, survive the rest of your life on $10,000. But he had a friend, Peter Gregerson, that brought him down to Alabama, and he got a job. But the point I'm trying to make with this whole thing is it was covered up to some degree. And from what I understand too, we're going to give you the money, Raymond. We're not just going to cut you loose here. You're a governing body member. We'll give you the dough, but you got to kind of keep it down. But it could have gone a lot more if they didn't give him that money. I think it could have been a way bigger deal and caused a bigger problem for the Watchtower. But when you have a lot of people now that this could be happening in congregations all around the world, we have these little inflammatory statements being made by elders in commenting. This could really be something of monumental consequence for the Watchtower. And I do believe, in fact, a good friend Dan Clark that's been on here numerous times, and he talks about this controlled demolition. I think there's a lot of, I really think there's a lot of sensibleness into what Dan is speaking about, because it almost is like the Watchtower's, going to let this thing go, let it go, try to grab as much dough as they can on the way out while they're collapsing it. And, see you later, everybody. Try to do it as soft as they can, sell off all their property. And I really believe that that's where they're heading. And you will say, well, why would they be building this big movie studio up in Ramapo, New York? This is all subterfuge, because the witnesses would say that, well, boy, if we're really in trouble with the Watchtower, we'd be building a, close to $500 million movie studio, video studio up in Ramapo. Well, they can sell that off. Don't worry about that. There's industry moving in. They'll buy that building up in a heartbeat. So they're not worried about that. But, they're trying to get people to donate to that. And they'll probably go ahead and build a building, but sell it all off like they are with the Kingdom Hall. So then we are witnessing the collapse of the Watchtower. You're on with us, Anne Marie. What do you have to say?
Oh, hi. Thank you. There was a training video for elders, and the storyline was the elder was before the committee being chastised and basically threatened because he was supporting his daughter who wanted to go to college. And the elder on trial before the committee was basically saying, you don't have the right or whatever. But we know that the number one crime in Watchtower is disloyalty to whatever Watchtower says you can or cannot do. And as far as that lady killing her children and her husband and the dog, that has happened so many times because the Watchtower was always reading in Romans. I don't know if it's Romans 12:6 or wherever, where it says the wages sin pays is death. So Watchtowerites have long known in their mind, because of the teachings of Watchtower, that you have a way better chance of getting resurrected into the new paradise earth if you die before Armageddon than you have of surviving Armageddon. So it's better to die now and kill your children. And as far as the Ramapo thing, I would not be surprised, not one bit, my brother, if Watchtower already has a deal with somebody to buy that studio when it's done. And remember, were saying quite a while back, a few years ago, that the Watchtower governing body or elders or whatever, the governing body would be raised up to heaven. But don't worry if, all of a sudden we disappear, because the elders will be left to guide you. Remember that one? Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, Anne Marie, there's so many things. There's so many things that, boy, we as all ex-witnesses can talk about. We can talk till the cows come home, as we say. Well, who'd like to speak up? Anyone out there want to speak up and say hello to us here in the 6 screens on Sunday? You see the telephone number right there in the bottom of YouTube and Facebook. You'd like to speak up and say something, by all means, do that. But we are really seeing something here that is something to at least think about. Would you ever think of going into the Kingdom Hall when you were a witness and, really making a comment during the Watchtower study or even the book study about another witness and how they did you wrong? You would never do anything like that. But I got news for you. It's going to start happening a lot. Go ahead, Ken, from the Northern Peninsula of Michigan. Come on, Ken.
Oh, yeah. Hello, Mr. Curran. Thanks for taking my call again here. I'm listening to your program with interest, and I just want to give you a couple experiences of, elders or ministers having a difference of opinion. This guy I took testimony from told me one time that a couple of elders had a foolish argument at the church he was going to, or Kingdom Hall, whatever they call it. He said they were doing some repair work or something like that, and this one elder was a carpenter, and he wanted to take and do something one way. But the other guy, who was not a carpenter, but he was a retired factory worker, disagreed with it, and he got very angry with him for wanting to do it, the other way and so forth. So naturally, look at how foolish this was. This guy was a carpenter. He knew his stuff, allegedly. And this other guy right here, who was not an experienced carpenter, challenges the way he was going to do something. Now, isn't that ridiculous and so forth? I would listen to the expert first if it was myself. Okay, well, you decide on that. The second experience I want to share with you is there was right on the Upper Peninsula here, I guess, about 20 years ago or something like that. There was a church that was, about south of here, I guess. They were a branch of one over in another place, and the two guys in there that was running it got into a fist fight. And okay, that was the last of that church. Then the church closed down. And this one guy somehow or other got control of the property and all that. He took the property and he sold it, without the authorization of the headquarter church. And so they finally got another church going and everything like that. But the one guy got away with the money and everything like that. So that's really not pursuant to, the Christian doctrine as they teach it. So that's really something else and all that. That kind of stuff should not happen any place, and especially if they believe that they're the true religion.
Well, amen to that, Ken. Certainly that's the truth. No, the stuff shouldn't happen. But boy, I'll tell you what, it's happening. I know it's happening in Kingdom Hall, so it's going to continue to escalate, I do believe, Ken.
Yeah, well, myself, during my lifetime and all that, I always try to get along with people. I always try to negotiate things and so forth. I never try to be dominant or never be bossy whatsoever and all that. So it's just really preposterous for somebody to do that, because you stop and think, about what your actions are. If you're dominant or anything like that, you're going to find out that it's just foolishness and so forth. Well, I'll sign off for right now, and for it's anybody tuning late and all that, I want to once again reiterate, I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a Happy New Year, and God bless be with you all.
Well, thank you, Ken. As you were saying that you don't like to be dominant and you don't like to get into feuds and what have you. See, you wouldn't, you never would have been made an elder in the Jehovah's Witness religion. They would have said, "No, this guy's too nice." He's
Oh, that breaks my heart.
yeah. Well, thank you for calling in, and Happy New Year to you too.
No, for one thing, no, I would not take any kind of a position like that the churches have and everything like that. And I would never, ever accept a position like that in any church, let alone the Watchtower Society. So, yeah, if they're looking to appoint me an elder, they're looking in the wrong place. You better look somewhere else.
Well, Ken, it really, really goes to their head. And, I heard, I'm from Massachusetts, and of course the Kennedys are up here and what have you. I mean, I'm not much of a political guy. I wasn't much for the Kennedys, really not that much. I mean, I was a witness at the time, so I didn't vote or anything. But I heard it said once that Jack Kennedy, President John Kennedy, he was such a nice man. He was a really nice man. And then when he got into politics, it really ruined him. I mean, he got involved with, we all know he was very promiscuous with women and what have you. But anyways, a lot came out about John Kennedy after he left. And so it is true. You get into politics, it can ruin you. The same thing with, a young man goes into the witnesses. He's a witness. You got a young little family. He's going out in service, and they make him an elder. And oh boy, at first he's so happy about that. But boy, then he gets in, they can take a good young man and ruin him by getting him to do the duty of the Watchtower. Terrible.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Power corrupts and everything like that. Now, I myself didn't like everything that John Kennedy did or what he stood for, but he stood for a lot of good things. And I comment on John F. Kennedy, some of the sayings he did and everything like that, and I kindly bring out some of the good things he did, but I know he did a lot of bad and so forth, and I definitely don't condone that, and I never will. And the same thing with Bobby Kennedy and all that. So yeah, I'm not much of a politician, but I will commend them for doing something good and everything like that. But I hardly ever voted. I primarily was never involved in politics, and I wouldn't want to be there either, no matter how much money I get out of it. Oh, no, look at the pressure that will be put on you. Well, thank you, Ken. You're a good man. Now, Ken, don't you ever change. We love the way you are. You just stay Ken, okay? Thank you. Okay, I definitely will. So you take care, and you have a good day, and we'll talk to you again sometime. Thank you. I wanted to bring up here the suicide on the Jesus drama set in Australia. Now, we talked somewhat about it last night, and then what I do is I leave the conference telephone line open after the program, and it was like a big buzz in there. People were talking a lot about it. But if you didn't hear it last night, there was a suicide on the Jesus drama set. They were making a video in Australia. The Jehovah's Witnesses Watchtower was making a video in Australia. And there was an American Jehovah's Witness man that was in the video, and he flew to Australia for his part. And it's terrible what happened. This Jehovah's Witness man, while he went there to film this Jesus movie that they're making, I guess he hung himself, is according to the information I've got here, and it was on one of the sets. Now, I'm certainly not making light of this, and my heart goes out to him and his family and others that witnessed this, or at least are aware about it, because it's really all over the place. Jehovah's Witnesses, many of them heard it, but they're being told to don't speak too much about it. They don't want to talk about that for sure. But the Jehovah's Witnesses, many are aware, and it's getting out in the witness world through Facebook and the social media. But currently, from what we understand, the authorities, they are investigating what took place.
course, it'll be a while yet before they know. But one thing got my attention is in the news article I'm reading here, the society brought in psychologists to work with the crew. That's funny they would do that. Usually the Watchtower doesn't get involved in psychologists and psychiatrists and get involved with people of that nature. But they did bring psychologists in because I'm sure some of the crew members were shook up. I mean, you knew him. He was your friend. He was working in the video with you. And so he died, committed suicide. So I'm sure that, in the days and weeks to come, we'll know more. But something that Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm sure, will be told to keep it quiet. Don't talk about it, please. Don't bring this up. But sad to say, the person who found the man after he committed suicide is his wife. Now, that's very heartbreaking, to find your mate hung. And, it's very disturbing when you stop and think about it. And he was very well known. Everyone liked him. And everyone was really so sad, as you would be too, to have this happen to someone that you're close to. So I'm guessing that the news is going to spread like wildfire all over the witness world. They're going to talk about this. And I wish I could say I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked, friends. In my 20 years of doing these programs on the 6 screens, I have had so many people call me up and tell me about friends they knew that have committed suicide. And I just talked just last week on 6 screens about a family I know that had the son committed suicide, then the grandson committed suicide, witness family right here in Massachusetts, and then an attempted suicide by another one of the family members. So, I don't want to keep bringing that up, but I'm telling you, suicide is not that uncommon in the Jehovah's Witness world. And it really was surprising to me that the witnesses, the organization, didn't put it up on their JW.org news room. They have a news menu on jw.org that you can connect to, and you can get the news on what's going on in the world of the witnesses. But boy, if you could just even acknowledge that we had a brother, sad thing happened. But see, the thing is, Jehovah's Witnesses, they never did like suicide. I mean, nobody likes suicide, so don't get me wrong when I make a statement like that. But what I'm trying to say is they never really thought too much about a person committing suicide. I mean, there has been suicides at Bethel. There's been suicides from congregant members all around the world, but they never really got overly involved with it. As a matter of fact, at one point, if you committed suicide, basically you disconnected from the world of the Jehovah's Witness. Now, I don't ever remember a person who committed suicide being disfellowshipped. I never remember that. But I do know one thing. In years past, if you committed suicide, the family couldn't have you have a service at the Kingdom Hall. You could never have a funeral talk for the victim of suicide. But as of late, just recently, I guess, the Watchtower has now permitted funeral talks for suicide victims. Now, that's on a local level. If the individual elders in the hall where a witness committed suicide decide that it'll be okay to give a talk, and I'm sure they'll have to vote on it, so to speak. But the witness organization can now, if they feel it's okay, they can actually give a talk on it, give a talk for the person who committed suicide. But see, it's very stressful. And, I don't know why this man committed suicide. I mean, I can't tell you. I'm sure nobody could really tell you, probably not even his wife. But I do know one thing. If you're just like even a normal Bethelite, never mind a Bethelite that's an actor and being involved in Watchtower videos, but even if you're a normal Bethelite, the projects that you would be working on, whether it's, folding clothes in the laundry room or putting pages in their publications and binding them, it is very stressful. I mean, you have to do it right. You can't slack off. I mean, even if you're folding, say sheets, say that's your job at Watchtower. You know, oh, well, Brother Farron, welcome to Bethel. Your job is going to fold sheets. Okay, where's the laundry room? So you go to the laundry room and you try to fold a sheet. No, Brother Farron, you don't do it that way. You got to do it this way. I mean, geez, to be all over you. Can you imagine the stress? I mean, for every job you have in Watchtower, I'm sure somebody's looking over your shoulder. No, do it this way. No, we don't do it that way, Brother Farron. I mean, that's what you'd probably hear all day. So can you imagine the stress that this
They don't give their people a way out. If you were at the Methodist Church, you could say, bye, everybody, I'm going to be an Episcopal.
Yeah.
They don't give the people a way out. They, from the platform, I can remember when they programmed into the congregants that if you leave, you're going to be a deadbeat, mentally ill, wino, pothead, drug addict, self-destroying person. They tell you that you will destroy yourself if you leave or disagree. This used to be from the platform. Springmeyer would call it Omega.
He probably would. Yes, Pixie. Well, thank you for.
He's written books on it.
Yeah.
And it's okay to leave. It's okay to be your own person. It's great to be free. It takes time to be a responsible adult, but you can learn that. You don't need to harm yourself just because you disagree with Watchtower.
Well, you're absolutely right, Pixie. I can't say you're wrong with that one. That's true. But you know, this idea of stress, can you imagine being an actor or an actress for the Watchtower? Oh my goodness, you'd have to get your lines right. Oh, if you said something wrong, they'd be jumping all over you. You had to be under their control. So then, yeah.
Yeah.
So even last night, people were asking, well, what part did he play? Was he Jesus? No, he wasn't Jesus. From what the information that people sent me here to 6 screens, thank you, people, by the way, for giving me the information on this. One person said that he played Judas. So, they were thinking even last night on the call after our program that made him go off the edge. And, Judas was a bad guy, right? Yes.
Hey, I just had a thought. This is Stefan, by the way. When you mentioned this on yesterday's program, the first thing that came to my mind, I believe his name was Keith Ledger, and they were talking about his role in the Batman movie, and I believe he played the Joker, which I guess is a really dark character. And apparently there was some sort of an issue where I guess he was really so deep off into that character, that he started having some sort of mental issue about it. And if I'm not mistaken, he actually died while they were filming that movie because he took too many medications or something to that effect. But they were saying that playing that character really had a major impact on him. Now I was just thinking, if that guy, Keith Ledger, is an actual thespian, he's an actual actor, and he got so engrossed in the character that it affected him mentally. Maybe perhaps it could be that this guy got into this character so deep and couldn't get out. I don't know. I probably kind of doubt that, but the fact of the matter is that does happen even with professional actors.
Oh, that's interesting, Stefan. Thank you for sharing that with us. No, I have heard that. I don't know if it's a known psychological disorder, but if you're portraying a bad person and you got to act like him, walk like him, talk like him, think like him, geez, I can see where it could put a person over the edge. Yeah, that's a possibility. Boy, I wouldn't want to play Judas. We even in a movie, I wouldn't want to play Judas. No, because yeah. Yes, go ahead, Emery. Yeah.
I thank you. I would like to reiterate my comment from last night. Most suicides in general, suicides are planned and well thought out. And this, to me, was a planned suicide. He knew what he was going to do when he got on that plane from America to Australia. And very rarely are suicides within the Watchtower cult this public where they can't hide it. And the fact that Watchtower actually brought in psychologists, we know that they have psychologists that are Jehovah's Witnesses, and they are always very careful to handle these type of situations. I think that this man was making a statement. He didn't feel he could get out. He felt trapped, and he felt this was the best way to go out, hoping that his death would help wake up others in the cult. Thank you, Rick.
Well, very good, Anne-Marie. Yeah, it's, nobody really knows. It's a sad thing. When it comes under the classification, I'm sure, of mental illness. When a person commits suicide, and a mentally stable person, I don't believe would ever do that. But, so something would be troubling. Something would be troubling for a person to do that. Something was going on big time in the person's mind. And, we can just speculate about it. But again, the issue that I have with it is, Jehovah's Witnesses, they claim to be the only true Christian religion on the planet, and that they were chosen by God himself as the true religion. I mean, they do acknowledge that. They'll tell you that. And I'm thinking, you can at least make acknowledgement. You have a major website. It's one of the most visited websites in the world. And you can soften it. You can do it in such a way that's professional, like the professional world does it. You don't sweep it under the rug, but you talk a little bit about it, soothe the hearts of those that were close to him, and then make a statement. But the Watchtower doesn't even make statements on things like this. And, that shows me too, they're not the truth. They wouldn't be the truth. They have no heart. As Ken was just saying. I like Ken. I like what he had to say about the organization. He wouldn't be an elder. He wouldn't want to be part of them. He said, because it would make him corrupt. But it's absolutely true. But I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. And again, more will come out. The more we hear on it, and if anyone does have information on that, you can write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com. Well, I want to bring up, I got to show you a video. I showed it last night. And what we're doing here at the Six Screens is we're really trying to get into the future. I mean, we lagged a little bit with our website, Six Screens of the Watchtower. It got outdated. So my daughter, and she's a former Jehovah's Witness too. Her name is Jamie. So she's been working along with me here for the last few months, and we're reconstructing the Six Screens website. And we've got some really good things going on, friends. I mentioned last night as well as we got a brand new studio. Now we're still going to be here in the studio. This is in the room of my house, but I built a studio at my business, my place of business in Lowell, Massachusetts. And I want to show you the backdrop for it. I'm going to put it up there right now. And what we're going to do, beginning the first of the year, the first week in January, we're going to have our first ex-Jehovah's Witness 5-minute news break. Now, there's so many news articles and thoughts that are coming out on Jehovah's Witnesses every day that when I find something that's really worth talking about, I'm going to jump right in and do a 5-minute news break. It won't be any more than that. People don't have time today to listen to 2 and 3 hours of something. Now, we're still going to do our programs on Six Screen Sunday and on Saturday night, and they're long, but not everybody can listen in. So we're going to do our ex-Jehovah's Witness 5-minute news break, and you'll be seeing that backdrop. Look at that backdrop. That is a man and a woman, the woman dressed in a dress, the man in a suit, and they're standing on top of the earth, and consequently, there's chains that they're holding that are being broke. Well, that symbolizes people in the Watchtower that have come out. So you're going to be seeing more of that XJW World News coming up first of the year. And then working along with my daughter, what we've been doing is producing some artificial intelligence segments for the Six Screens of the Watchtower website, but we've been putting it up on YouTube and Facebook, and boy, they're getting a lot of people watching. So Jamie is a real good artist. She's a graphic artist of the high order, really. She's made her living doing this, so she's a professional, and so she's been helping me. But we've already had 2 two of these AI videos. They're just short little videos, a couple minutes long. We had one on Charles Taze Russell calling himself a jellyfish and how he didn't come out and say it, but his wife said it. His wife said that he was like a jellyfish too. He couldn't keep his hands off women. And that got the attention. I got the attention. In fact, even so, people have been writing me and saying they never heard of this. They never heard of him saying that. So it's reaching an audience that is just coming out of the organization. And then we had another one on Grieber, Johannes Grieber, and how the Watchtower was involved with the occult. And that's very successful as well. But now we have a new one. And it has to do with the death of the founder of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. That'd be Charles Taze Russell himself. So let me get that up. I want to play that for you. And I want you to see it. And we try to get as factually as we can. And I believe we're doing a good job at it. So let me show you that right now. Let me just get this here. I just got to get to the right. Okay, let's see again. Just give me a second here. Finding the right tab sometimes is a problem. Okay, again, hold on 1 second. StreamYard. Okay, just give me a second here, folks. Why that's not popping up, I don't know. Here it is right here. Okay, let's play the video. Well, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to download it. Just give me a second. Let me get back into my StreamYard. Sorry for the little bit of confusion here today, but we'll get it. Just give me a second and we'll get it. Let me just I'm gonna go right in here and download it, and that'll just get it up for us. Why it's not coming up, I don't know. No, that's not it there. All right. Well, anyways, it shows Charles Taze Russell on a train. And man, I will tell you, it's so good because people think in pictures, they remember in pictures, and they move to action in pictures. We're loading it up here now. Let's see if we can't get this on. Okay, why don't that pop up? Okay, let's play it here now. I think I got it here now. Let's play it. All right, hold on 1 second. Let's share it. Okay, share the screen. It keeps going to that download. Well, I'm sorry I can't play it for you right now. Someone want to come in and just talk for a few minutes? Give me a couple of minutes because I want you to see it. But somehow it's not registering here in my StreamYard, and sometimes it gets a little difficult. So, here we go. Hold on 1 second. I think we got it now. So let's go back to StreamYard. I think we got it now. So hang in. I want you to see the film. Ah, that's a shame. That's a shame. Well, anyways, folks, we'll have to let that one go for now. I'm sorry.
Did you send me the video?
Yeah. In fact, Susan, talk to the audience for just about 2 minutes, and I'll get this on. Okay, talk a little bit about the AI and what have you.
I can send you the video.
Well, I do. It's not a matter of that. I'm just trying to integrate it into StreamYard. I got the video, so go ahead, talk to the audience a little bit. Tell them about AI. Tell them how AI is helping the world.
Well, I don't know if many people would feel that way. AI can be a useful tool, and Rick is finding that out through his daughter. And we've been putting together with her several videos that we think would be teaching moments of the X Watchtower Society, which we hope will be X very soon. And so we're working very closely together with his daughter to get these videos put up. And we can actually get a few words from Russell or Rutherford and have those few words turned into patterns of speech. We can actually even give a talk off of just a few words being spoken. It's that unbelievably, it just does everything unbelievably. And we really feel almost kind of honored to be able to do this, the first people to do this for all of you. Because we're doing it for you. so you can have these learning moments, these teaching moments. Does anyone want to comment on any of the videos that they've seen? That they helped them, or?
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Hi, Susan. It's Stefan.
Hi,
I
Stefan.
did, excuse me. Hello. Sorry. As soon as I chimed in and started coughing, I just wanted to say I'm really enjoying the videos. And that one that you guys played last night on Charles Taz Russell's death, I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know what Watchtower is spending all this money on, but I can tell you one thing, I doubt very seriously their final product is going to be any better than what you guys showed us yesterday. That was amazing. That was very informative. Yeah, the music and the graphics.
It's all volunteer. You know, we're doing it. I mean, it costs us something, but we're volunteering to do it, and it's just fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. When I saw that, I was just like, wow, this is really professionally done. It's going to be something. It's going to be something that active witnesses, they're not going to be able to deny.
Well,
And I'll tell you something else funny.
Yeah.
Whenever I think about this Charles Taz Russell dying on October 31st, if that's the correct date, and it occurred to me one day, it seemed to be very important from an occult standpoint that his death be linked to October 31st. He wanted to be buried in a toga. I mean, none of this stuff has anything to do with Christianity, and it really shows the demonic aspect to this. And even if he didn't die on October 31st, you know, it was important for them to present his death as having happened on October 31st. It might have been the 30th, the 29th, 28th. It might have been, you know, November 1st, who knows? But it was just so important, apparently, for them to connect October 31st for all the occult reasons, you know, to his death.
So you can basically, you can see that comes across strongly then, this occult.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much. I don't know that the average witness knows that. I don't think that they knew about that big 6-foot pyramid and then the Masonic elements that were on it, and whether we ever get to the bottom line of whether Charles Taz Russell was in fact a Masonic or not, to me is a completely moot point. He wouldn't have been able to get those Masonic emblems on his tombstone if he was not affiliated with them one way or the other. So obviously he had, you know, some kind of connection. So yeah, I just hope witnesses get the occult connection to this, and then of course tying that in Bible, and maybe that will help wake some people up. Who knows?
Well, I know this Mason thing seems to be a really bone of contention. And my thought was, first of all, if you were Catholic and you wanted to be buried in a Catholic cemetery, if you were not Catholic, you were not getting buried in that cemetery. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So why would it be any different with the Masons?
Exactly.
Or any other state? So I feel that there has to be some connection there. I don't know what.
Oh, there's definitely a connection. I was the apple of his eye because I was the only grandchild, period. And I asked him when he was much older in life, and I said, Grandpa, if you pass, can I have this ring? And I hardly asked for anything. And it was a ring he would always wear. And he said, ask me for anything else, or I'll get you a different ring, but you can't have this ring, because when I die, this ring has to be buried with me. It's my Masonic ring. Now, I didn't know my grandfather was Masonic. I don't believe he was a active practicing Mason. He probably just sent in his monthly dues. But the point is, even though he wasn't active, he still had enough respect for the organization, or maybe it was paranoia, I don't know, to be buried with that ring. So to your point, Susan, they take that stuff seriously. You know, we might think it's stupid,
they do.
But the Masons take that stuff seriously. They do not play when it comes to that. And so for him being Charles Taz Russell, to be able to have those emblems on his tombstone there, that shows you that he is connected in some way or the other.
Well, we're ready to play this now. I believe I do have it up, Stefan. So let's play this right now.
Okay. all right.
And let's see if we can't get it
Yes,
working.
sir.
Let's see if we can't get it working here. Just give us a second.
Even the night of his death, the veracity surrounding Charles Taze Russell was revealed, as Jehovah's Witness theology rests on pagan practices and spiritual uncertainty. In a discourse from 1913, Russell exalted Freemason beliefs and their teachings to the extent of using Masonic images within his own publications. Russell pompously alluded to those within this divine masonry, including himself, as the only ones with spiritual insight. The Masonic symbol of the winged sun disk graced the covers of many early Watchtower publications. Of monumental interest is that the Watchtower Society inadvertently noted that this Egyptian symbol is idolatrous, with no mention of the fact that it graced the covers of early publications. Masonic and pagan connections saturated the early history of the Watchtower Society, including the night of Charles Taze Russell's death. On Halloween night in 1916, when traveling back from his ministerial tour, Russell died in the train car as a result of multiple ailments. Russell's last request was to be wrapped in a Roman toga, using Pullman sheets. Buried in Rosemont United Cemetery in the outskirts of Pittsburgh. A 9-foot stone pyramid, with Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, and the Masonic symbol engraved on its side, lies adjacent to his gravestone. The Watchtower Society removed it in 2021, as it contradicted later Jehovah's Witness teachings, distancing themselves from the origins of their founding father and theology that does not come from the God of the Bible.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So, anyways, that's the video. We got more of those coming. We're going to try to make one a week, and that's what we're trying to do, because so many people are getting out of the Watchtower right now. Many don't even know about him dying on that train and wanting to be dressed in a Roman toga, and so we're going to try to create these videos as real as we can. And what we'll do is, and I tell you a million times, folks, people think in pitches. People remember in pitches, and people are moved to action in pitches. And I'll tell you right now, whenever you hear about Russell being on that train, you're going to think of seeing that. That's the image you're going to see, what you just saw here on the 6 screens. That'll stay in your head. So you remember that. So hopefully we can wake some witnesses up and get them to realize what the Watchtower has always been involved in, occultism and stupidity. So anyways, we're glad you guys could be with us today. We appreciate you coming in and wanting to be on the 6 Screen Sunday. There'll be no Christian court today or questions being answered from the Bible from Jay Hess. He's not feeling well today, but he'll be back with us in 2 weeks, and we hope he feels better. And folks, I want you to keep standing tall. Don't you ever give in, up, or out. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. We'll see you next Saturday night, beginning at 6 o'clock, right here on the 6 Screens Telenetwork. Thank you for visiting with us today.